Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the first meeting that we have regarding Political Action Committee and what we can do together as we the people to come together and have our voices heard. Writing letters only goes so far with representatives that some of them need to be voted out. And here is a plan that we can do that. This is going to take a real, true grassroots effort. We have a lot of money up against us to play their game. It takes money. And so if we all do a little bit and band together, we can make this happen. It's not far off. We don't need a ton of people. Less than 5% of the current voting population can make this happen. Let's see. Let me share my screen here. Make sure I got this. All right, let me over here. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm new to these new things here. If I can see, can anyone confirm that they can see my screen? Okay. Let's go ahead and start on this. Can anyone hear me at all? You do hear me? Okay. Now I'm going to hit this again. If this microphone doesn't work, I'm not sure why you can't hear this, but I'm going to try this again. Can you hear that? Okay. The sharing, there is a box that needs to be checked that I didn't see. So that should give some time. It looks like we have some people that came in, so that's fine. We'll restart and apologize for that because I can hear it fine, so I assumed everybody else could. But if you can hear me, I'm going to try this again. Give it just one more minute. Okay, and you can see
play political action game.
Are you able to hear that one and see my screen? Perfect. Okay. Let's.
Time to play political action game. Do you know how Congress is bought and paid for? Flex your Citizens United knowledge. Let's play Puppet Party. What is Citizens United? Citizens United refers to a landmark United States Supreme Court case, Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission 2010. The case centered around the regulation of political campaign spending by organizations, particularly corporations and unions. The decision had a significant impact on campaign finance laws and the role of money in politics. The Supreme Court ruled that restrictions on independent political expenditures by corporations, unions, and other groups violated the First Amendment's protection of free speech. The court held that these entities, including corporations, have a right to spend money to express their political views, just as individual citizens do. The decision effectively lifted the limitations on corporate and union spending in political campaigns and pumped billions into the political game industry. The ruling led to the rise of super PACs, political action committees, and increased the influence of money in politics as it removed restrictions on the ability of corporations and unions to spend money in support of or against political candidates. Special interests have been given a blank check to pick and choose who is the best puppet they can purchase through campaign contributions and hate campaigns against their opponents. This decision has contributed tenfold to corporate and billionaire influence in elections. This is why we are where we are, why we the people's voices are never heard and are readily ignored. This destructive decision has created the political action game. Let's play. Who are the players? First, we the people player, the voters. Then we have special interest players, war contractors and profiteers, corporations, insurance and finance, billionaires and elite, and group special interests such as the World Economic Forum and other unelected groups. How to play. First, number one, to begin each round, the Congress is decided by an unfair, archaic system called the Electoral College. This system immediately gives small population states a voting handicap and gives them 4 times the power as the rest of us. This is passed off to voters as democracy and spins the reality that we are somehow empowered by a system designed to cheat we the people out of our voice and power. Number 2, we the people player first begin by picking a team, their political party. This requires complete dedication and loyalty to the team, no matter what direction they lead you policy-wise, or if you end up voting against your best interest. We the people player must proceed to the game board through the political party door by voting in the Electoral College way. Number 3, special interest player can proceed directly to the game board, getting immediate access to representatives who look like them and have been appointed by their investment in PACs designed to swing voters for or against candidates with large amounts of money spent on individual races in strategic districts or states. Number 4, whoever raises the most money and appoints the most representatives wins. Ready, set, go. How to score. Number 1, appoint a congressional puppet by investing in their campaign on both the lobby end and by striking a complete hate campaign against their opponent with your PAC. Spend tons of money in the process. Number 2, unseat an incumbent who rejected your pork projects and legislation requests last lobby season. Back a candidate who will put your special interests on the front burner of their legislative actions, who will win when the incumbent is unseated. Number 3, get legislation passed with your lobby and PAC efforts that your special interest has handwritten to benefit your pocketbook or power level. Number 4, strategically get people who are sympathetic to your issues appointed to judges, secretaries, and other power positions. Number 5, court stacking. Strategically place SCOTUS justices in at state and federal levels to remove any annoying laws that currently stand in the way of your agenda. So on the scoreboard at this time, we the people player for legislation and appointees by voting, legislation for the people, 0. Budget appropriated for, 0. Congressional executives that we've appointed in executive branch or judicial, 0. We the people, 0 points. Political parties, their legislation and appointees, they have legislation for the party, budgets appropriated for the party. Congressional, executive, and judicial appointees, they get 5 points. Special interest players are the same. Their legislation and appointees, they have legislation for special interests, budgets appropriated, or profits mandated for, and they have many appointees in the executive, judicial, and congressional branch. 5 points for special interest players. There are a couple cheat codes that we don't have access to as we, the people voter. Cheat code, gerrymander. Are you ready to play? You choose your best voters for your district. Number 6, appoint judges that will veto any efforts to redraw your gerrymander and make sure you always choose your best voters. Political appointee winner, cheat code number 7, political appointee investment. We want to first congratulate Betsy DeVos for winning the political appointee game. You just proved that money does buy a cabinet secretary appointment. Amazing. Department of Education Secretary. Trump understood the assignment. A couple quotes from Nancy DeVos about her political investment that she has made. She says, "My family is the largest single contributor of soft money to the National Republican Party. I have decided, however, to stop taking offense at the suggestion that we are buying influence. Now I simply concede the point. We expect to foster a conservative governing philosophy consisting of limited government and respect for traditional American virtues. We expect a return on our investment. We expect a good and honest government. Furthermore, we expect the Republican Party to use the money to promote these policies and, yes, to win elections." Going further, she said, "People like us must surely be stopped." Cheat code, voter purge. Get rid of your opponent's voters and keep the best voters for you. Number 9, have the Secretary of State purge your opponent's voter registrations and hide behind policy for your reason. When their voters show up, they're not registered to vote any longer. New district, no problem. Number 10, cheat code. Vote and run for office in a strategic district. Congratulations to Dr. Oz for playing the disappearing district game. You just proved that the actual district you live in disappears when the perfect district to run in opens up. Amazing. A couple things about Dr. Oz's race is he doesn't live in Pennsylvania. He lives in New Jersey. Here's what Reuters had to say about him as he entered the race. He enters the race days after another Republican candidate, military veteran Sean Parnell, who had received Trump's endorsement, ended his own campaign. Parnell dropped out following a court ruling that outlined allegations of domestic abuse against his estranged wife, which Parnell has denied. In steps Dr. Oz. Oz, who hosts the syndicated The Dr. Oz Show, brings substantial name recognition to a wide open November 8th, 2022 contest that could determine control of the Senate and the fate of Democratic President Joe Biden's agenda. Reuters. And here's what Dr. Oz has to say about his new home. They're not houses, they're properties. Scoreboard at the end of that election season. We the people, 0. Special interests, 5. Political parties, 5. Tip to the people, we are losing. How we the people win. We use a 3-prong approach. We remote workers unite, number 1. We then use our second prong with the remote workers PAC, and then we vote smarter, not harder. Under the Remote Workers Unite will be the lobbying arm. Remote Workers Association lobbies for and educates representatives about our issues and what legislation we want passed, and helps to raise campaign funds for those reps who reject the military-industrial complex. Membership platform. Remote Workers Association is a social media platform for members and communities to unite, create groups and events. It has an app and an online platform. The PAC is funded by the Remote Workers Association and gives members access to the Political Action Committee. Small business membership benefits will work like a chamber of commerce, and many other benefits to the members of the Remote Workers platform. This gives you access to the Political Action Committee. This committee will support candidates who are sympathetic to our issues regardless of political affiliation. We are going to unseat incumbents unseat current incumbents who promote and profit from the military-industrial complex, and vote in favor of Uniwar Party agendas. The third prong in this for how we win is vote smarter, not harder. Voting smarter is focused not on swing states like the current two-party system is, but on low population states where a Senate seat is just a few thousand votes away. Nomadic communities implementation. We encourage and assist nomadic communities and remote workers to gain residency in strategic states and districts. Who is a remote worker? Everyone. Business owners, digital nomads. Everyone, meaning you have a job where you work exclusively from home or a remote workstation, full-time or hybrid, contract or employee status. You're a caregiver in the home or at a remote location. College students, volunteers, those of you who moonlight online with a side gig. Business owners who work remotely or have remote employees or contractors. If your business is run from home or you live on site of your business, farmers and ranchers, content creators and influencers, all digital and online businesses. Digital nomad communities is you're not tied to home or office from day to day. You can work anywhere. There's an internet connection. Van life, RV life, retired hobby workers, traveling healthcare workers, truck drivers. Everyone is a remote worker. This is how we, the people, unite with getting legislation passed in our favor for we, the people, and evening out the playing field for voters. So how does this all fit together? Start now. If you live in a red state, register red. Register as a Republican. If you live in a blue state, register as a Democrat. Vote in the primary. Do not vote for any incumbents, regardless of your regular political affiliation. Resist the urge to be in two-party checkers mode. Vote in the primary and do not vote for any incumbents regardless of your regular political affiliation. Next, vote in the general election and do not vote for any incumbents regardless of a political affiliation. Number 2, Remote Workers Association. Join the membership platform. This platform is used to unite communities and match remote workers and digital nomads with strategic residency and voting recommendations to work from or home base from. The membership association, its benefits to the user, there's many benefits that are going to come along with this. The membership platform is used to fund the lobbying, and the PAC's operating expenses are funded by the membership company, by the social media platform and membership in Remote Workers Association. The members will decide what issues are most important, and using the nonprofit business model, it's focused on member benefits and what works best for we, the people, regarding working from home, growing our own food, getting to the unelected military-industrial complex and other industrial complexes that we have to get to. Our focus will be on the special interests. The Remote Workers PAC will support candidates who are sympathetic to our issues and our opponents to certain incumbents. We intend to unseat all incumbents who support the Uniwar Party. All PAC funds raised will be used for campaign purposes to further candidates who legislate and acknowledge our issues. We'll support campaigns and assist with ballot access to candidates who are Remote Workers Association members who run for office. Vote smarter. What that entails is college students gain residency and vote in their college district they live in. Nomadic communities gain residency in small population states. Register red in red, blue in blue, and vote in the primaries. Do not vote for incumbents. Vote in the general election. Do not vote for any incumbents. This will work to shock the system. Focus and strategy of this three-pronged approach. Number one, Remote Workers Association will first and foremost focus on all of the industrial complexes that are forced upon us by unelected authorities who have snatched control of our lives, our health, our voices, our medical decisions, the food we're allowed to consume, and how our taxpayer dollars are spent. We are taking our power back for the people. Number two, no more war crimes on our dime. Military-industrial complex and weaponizing executive offices throughout our government, we are coming for you first. Most of our current 535 reps in Congress support the Univor Party and must be removed from office. This is a bipartisan removal process. It starts with the Senate and ends with Electoral College reform. Number three, voting smarter is focused not on swing states like the current two-party system is, but on low population states where a Senate seat is just a few thousand votes away. Nomadic communities and remote workers who can work in any state are matched with those who have residency in these areas. Number four, with less than 5% of active voters, we can make the changes needed. 60 votes in the Senate is not far off to make Electoral College reform and true democracy happen. Strategy, we the people focus on the special interests, skip the parties, proceed directly to the game board with representation, lobby, and political action committee. What does Electoral College reform look like? We the people win by popular vote. We win with the Senate redistributed by population, not by electorates. Election integrity. We will demand unhackable blockchain type of voting system implemented in all states. Special interests. Never-ending funding will come to an end with new party reps who are not party-picked. In the Senate can no longer be easily bought into obstruction of all meaningful legislation. Election integrity. Voting confidence is restored and special interest messaging encouraging non-voter participation are foiled. The political parties. Parties will not be able to violate antitrust laws. Competition and more parties will emerge. In the Senate, parties can no longer handpick candidates. With election integrity, parties can no longer strong-arm voters into voting for the lesser of two evils. The executive branch. We will have better checks and balance when Congress is not bought by special interests. In the Senate, obstruction in the Senate gives this branch unchecked power. Election integrity, unelected officials in unelected offices will be checked. Tip to players. Nobody stole the election and promoted a loser to a winner except the Electoral College system. Thank you for playing. We hope you enjoyed the political action game. Next round, we win. Subscribe and donate at remoteworkersassociation.org or contact us at unite@remoteworkersassociation.org.
Okay, so that is the presentation of how those tie together and how we can play the game of the people who have a lot more money and a lot more power than us and to actually put a shock in the system. Unfortunately, Citizens United has, since 2010, the last time there was a real, true grassroots effort that was successful was the Obama campaign. Since Citizens United has been implemented, this is how the parties have become super powerful and also pick and choose and go after their own, and all of the things that the parties are notorious for, their violations of RICO, are all because of Citizens United giving them unlimited. They've grown 10 times in their power than what they were before 2010. So the bringing us back to what happened today with the Section 702, which highly affects all of the TIs that are in the room right now. as we all know. So super disappointing, although I was predicting that this was going to happen and preparing for us this election year to band together and to try to get rid of these obstructionists and people in the Senate that are creating a monster. These reps are, most of them belong to the Univor party, and I think most of us TIs have deduced that the issues that we are having with directed energy weapons and other issues come from the security and military industrial complex, which are appointed positions with a never-ending budget. So I do want to open the room up to everyone for questions or comments. I do request on any criticisms, no problem. Criticisms are well received. Just please include a solution to that if there is something that, we're building this right now. If anybody has any suggestions, this is the time to build together. And this is also not, it's a bipartisan effort. This is not about parties. This is not the time to talk about candidates. I think most of us don't want to hear about Biden or Trump. We're looking for solutions, bipartisan effort to get rid of this program. The 702 is a great disappointment. Let me open this up, and if anyone wants to jump in with any questions or comments.
I was.
Go ahead and unmute yourselves. I'm sorry, I hit the button where everyone's background noise was on. Please join again with questions.
What's the Remote Workers Association?
This is just the way that these need to be set up legally, and with the way that they can be funded and paid. If you remember back to the time when Obama was in, there was a lot of these political action committees and their membership lobbying arms that Obama went through and looked up Patriot and all sorts of different things in the IRS and apologized for it. And so what this was individual groups setting up their political action, which is just the way that these need to be set up. I'm giving the information. I've set these up, and I'm in the process of setting this up. I have a platform that's built right now. That's the good news, is that this is coming out of the gate running. I just need to get the company set up, the political action fund set up, and move forward into the beta for this social media platform, which is a nonprofit setup. If you wanted to create your own political action committee, you can certainly do this. I'll tell you how to do it. Create yourself a nonprofit. You apply for a 501c6 or 4, depending on your situation, and then you open up a political action committee, and they are connected in the sense that, for example, the realtors, the membership to be a realtor is the largest PAC that there is for membership. And so essentially the realtors have a very big voice right now because they have the membership of all of the realtors together, and then they have their political action committee, which is very large, and they are able to get legislation in their favor very easily with that setup. So they just need to be set up this way. In short, I wanted to create a social media platform because of the issue of freedom of speech, and specifically to TIs and to other people who are remote workers. Our voices are squashed on these platforms, and with the nonprofit set up, this is not to try to make, number one, it's not a advertising business model. It is a true nonprofit. We're going to be seeking board membership for different types of, different board memberships specific to your skills and expertise, and building that so that this is not a for-profit model where we have to take direction from advertisers. It's funded by the membership, essentially. It's just a social media where you have benefits. So you get something from your membership, which is social media allows you to create events, sort of similar to stuff that that is offered in a couple different things, X and, Facebook, where there's events. This allows the nomadic communities that are a piece of this, the remote workers, that anyone who is in van life or RV life, where there's lots of people who are digital nomads that don't necessarily live in one state, and they can gain residency wherever they want to. The rules of residency need to be followed. Of course, that goes by each locality. Each state is different. I can't give you the residency rules without looking them up. The platform, we intend to provide some of this information. Also, along with voter purging files, I don't know if any of that has happened to any of you as TIs. That is an old political trick that they do, so that basically your voters, they're able to target you. They know how you vote. And they will purge your voter registration before you get to the voting. You show up and you can't vote. You just get another type of temporary voting thing, which they usually don't allow those in. And so it's just an old trick in the book. So this platform would show the voter purge files to make sure that you're voting, because those people who, are apathetic towards voting, I get it. The reason why you're apathetic, because the current system is not set up for us as we the people to be able to have a true democracy. So that's why we can't have our voices heard. And then the money piece of this with Citizens United has really detrimentally, it's thrown a spoke into the wheel here that we the people weren't prepared for on the Political Action Committee, because they can outraise us so fast. And they pick and choose who they want in there, and that's why everyone is afraid of, like, AIPAC. 80% of the people are just towing the line to what AIPAC says, because they will remove them. And if we band together, we can become that same powerful, where we can remove them. And as a silent voter, you don't have to get involved in any of the membership of any of this or do anything, but just vote, blue or red in your primary right now, depending on where you live, a red state or a blue state, and primary them. That's the first step. If we can get as many people as possible to primary the people that need to be primaried, like i.e. the people on roll call for this 702 vote that they really thought were real clever. They ran a great committee. They looked so great in the committee, and then they just did what they always do and threw it into the defense bill that nobody wants to vote against, because then they look like they're against the military. And then they come after you if you go after the military-industrial complex. So that is our main focus right now, is the military-industrial complex and unseating reps who feed to them indiscriminately. Does anyone else have a question or a comment?
Yeah. Could you describe more of the exact details of the 702? That is, because I understand there was something that was voted that they weren't going to be able to do surveillance. It was a different title, but so I don't know if it's affiliated with this at all or just separate.
From what I understand,
do we have to wait till April, or how long does this abuse have to go?
I didn't think this one went to April, and again, I may not be correct on this. What I thought they did was just run a clean renewal as is, which is unacceptable. And so there was two bills.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
And I'm going to have to double check on this, because again, I saw that it went through in the Defense Act, and I think they were renewing 3 or 4 years. Now, I heard that April was one that they were going to just try to move it to April. And then if you look at the legislation, it actually renews it for until 2025 in the actual 702 section, kind of renews itself. So I'm not sure if I can answer that correctly for you. I do think it was clean as is, went sailing through for the next few years.
That's sickening. Sorry.
It is, and I'm very angry enough that anyone who voted for this needs to be on the list of, if you live in these states with these people, please vote against them and actively campaign against them.
Yeah, because I have a neighbor who brags to a bunch of people that he's giving radiation to us, in my house. I mean, this is just uncalled for. We're living in a police state. You know, I can see why people flip out, you know what I mean, and do some stuff, you know, because this is just, abuse has got to stop. We don't live in China, or we're not hunted. We should not be treated like we're being hunted prey, you know, and that's what's going on in America. They're just having fun chasing us all the time and abusing us, and then making up stories. It's just ridiculous.
They are, and my fear also is that, I don't have definitive proof, I just have circumstantial proof that they have been, you know, giving these weapons, these things, giving them to police departments through one of the executive orders that allows them to hand off tanks and other military, you know, equipment that goes down. And so I know that they're passing on from Sandia and Los Alamos Labs. They have a program that is giving corporate interests access to their secrets. They can, you know, help them with their hires, or, you know, it sounds like a benign program, but what they're doing is giving these weapons to police departments and people who are using them in a retaliatory way that has nothing to do with terrorism, what they originally were supposed to be doing these things with. Now it's just grown so exponentially large that it is just people hunting around and getting paid to hunt people. It's sick.
Yeah. Well, they say that the employment's gone up, but all it is, the FBI keeps hiring and putting $30,000 to $50,000 to put somebody on the list, and then hire all these other scumbags to go around and abuse people. It's just terrible. And another thing that kind of got me frustrated, I saw this Substack from Nikki Haley was on there. She said, yes, we have a lot of innocent Americans that are on a list, a terrorist list that shouldn't be there. Yeah, it is wrong. But we have to test out these equipment, weapons from China. I thought, what in the world? Let's get our family on the list, you know?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, there was a Substack that had Haley, you know, the lady that's running for president, Nikki Haley, and she agreed that there is a list of Americans who are innocent, who haven't done a thing wrong, and they're on this terrorist list, but we have to test these Chinese weapons, war weapons, for some reason she feels we have to test these. So we'll have these innocent people hinting that they're the prey for them to practice. And it's like, okay, fine, if she wants to have them done, let's have her family get it put on the list and take some of these other people off that have been abused for no reason. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. There's no reason why anyone in office or in government should be okay with this. It's just ridiculous. It's backwards. Everything right nowadays is wrong, and what's wrong is right. I don't get it. I'm sorry, I took a lot of time, but it's just very frustrating to, you know, you hope that all these letters and everything we've sent out would do something, but it's just like nobody's listening. And even Ron Johnson's been a victim, and it's still okay. I guess they all have to be a victim to understand what it's like to be treated like you're a deer or some other animal, a rabbit that they want to kill for food or whatever they want to do with us, you know? Sorry.
You're right. It is totally and absolutely unfair. But we sent out 572 letters, mailed them to every senator, every government, every state. And we did all of this. We never got a reply back. We never got a reply back concerning anything that we were asking on the letter. So there's a little more to this than meets our eyes. They're doing something else that we're not seeing. And it's
Who
not
sent
being
those
exposed.
letters?
Say it again?
Who sent those letters?
My group. I'm Constant.
I did.
I helped to run a group in Phoenix, Arizona called the TI Group. We were together for like 6 years, and we sent letters. We called, God only knows how many offices. We did fax. We did emails. Nothing was ever responded on. Nothing ever came back, and nobody ever got back to us. We were not able to meet with them. I think we did, not me personally, did the city council meeting a couple times. No response back. So there was a lot going on that nobody. So there's more to this. We're looking at it in one way, and I'm looking at it in several different ways. For the simple reason is, okay, you know about these weapons. You know about the American citizens. You know that this is illegal and it's mostly done by criminals, but you're not doing anything about it. Now, what is the reason? Is it the research of the weapons? Is it the research of the technology? Is it just because you're making a lot of money from the pharmaceutical companies? Or is there something else, some hidden thing of the reason why you don't want to reveal it or you don't want to acknowledge it? So.
I think that there is a big push to feed the military-industrial complex. There was a letter that was put out. Representative Thomas Massey posted it, that came directly from Biden's White House, the executive office, that basically said that we needed to, provide funds to the military-industrial complex, that with Ukraine and, what's going on in Israel, that we needed to put the money, it was good for business, basically. And so that's what we've really essentially, they're afraid to not be part of this war machine because our economy is truly tied up into it. And I think there is, what I saw on some different videos today with the stuff that's going on with Israel and the Palestinians, there are a lot of people, the entire world is upset at what we've been doing. And the phone lines have been blowing up apparently at the Congressional Switchboard and all of these places. And then people who are staff members like myself have to answer these calls. And sort of the senior staff and the representatives are 100% ignoring the amount of phone calls and different things because it's data tracking, like I had explained in my blog, that, large amounts of phone calls, large amounts of letters at the same time are much more effective because they see a huge spike in data. Well, now they're ignoring the data of the war crimes going on with the Palestinians, which, I think a lot of us can relate to that because we're on the same end of these, guinea pigs for these war weapons, and also being called terrorists when we're not. A lot of these people are kids and women, and they're just it's just gotten too big that it doesn't matter, that it's just too big for business. And so they also, on the lobby end, is they have these hobnobby parties in D.C. where they raise a bunch of money for the Congress people. And that's also how they get them hooked on this, is that you go to a hobnobbery party and they'll raise, $50,000 for you. You don't have to spend money. They have people there that write checks. And it's like a party basically for you to get your funds raised. And so we also need to access that type of lobbying where it's these things are expensive. We can train some of ourselves. There's some TIs I'm sure that could be trained to do this. This needs to come within, and then also it's worth paying for with getting a lobbyist that's already in there. They have lobbyists that are specialty type of lobbyists, but
yes,
if they go against the war machine, they try to oust you in every way financially. That's what I think has their hold on them.
Shiloh, can I say something?
Sure.
Shiloh?
Yes.
This is G in Virginia. I think I was listening to Glenn Beck today, and according to what he said, he had a co-host with him. But this is all about eliminating, it has to do with the climate, but also eliminating the population. So I think that you say that we say that the law, go to the law, go to try to get justice through the law. But you can't go to the law because there isn't any. There's no law. The law is gone. So who do we go to? The only alternative that we have is to act on our own. Because all of those law people, DOJ, FBI, CIA, they're all in on this, but that is the law. Those are the ones that fulfill the law. They're the ones that, can, get do something for us, but they're not because they're actually involved in this. So I think we need to start thinking on our own because it's not going to get any better. As a matter of fact, it's just getting worse.
I was told they can order these war equipment over the internet. I almost feel like getting my own and getting my own people that are around me and get them to have them feel what it's like. It's like they're numb to all this. They have no idea how terrible they are and how hurtful they are and how they're disrupting families. Or we have to start suing like crazy to have them, if it hits their pocketbook, maybe these big companies or neighbors will be a little affected.
Yeah, but who are you gonna get to sue? There's no attorneys. There's no attorneys we can go to. Who are we going to get to act in our behalf? Who's going to do it?
Well, I've been told with this frequency, you can have proof that where it's coming from, and there's a investigator that is in Missouri. She's in Columbia. I guess she can tell you exactly when she gets your frequency. She can track down everybody that's involved in it, all the different companies, universities, and other people too in your area. So there is a trail, I was told. And then there's even a way to get it on the analyzer, the frequency analyzer too. There's a certain way to corner and figure out which neighbor is bringing a frequency in your house too. I have to learn that, but that's what I was told. That can be proven, and there was a lady that won her case because she had someone help her with her analyzer frequency. It's an RF.
But did you hear? But you evidently didn't hear what I said. There isn't any law. There's nowhere to take it to once you get. You can have all the evidence you need. There's not. Who are you going to take it in front of? What court if they're all involved in this?
See,
and it's not just me saying this. This is what Glenn Beck said on his show today.
No, he's absolutely correct.
I think so too, Shiloh. I think he is. Shiloh. I really do.
I was trying to be a little humorous in, my little game with them, the judicial branch in, but that is what they do. The intent of this is to get our own appointees in here, coming from ourselves. Like, I think we're going to have to do this, like attorneys that are within the community. We're going to have to work with what we have. Most of us are, intelligent, ran big companies, did lots of stuff before this happened to us. So I think we're going to have to build within, and whatever your expertise is, whatever you did, we need your help. We all together, we can do this. I don't know of a way, because they are appointed. That is why the judicial system is hard. That is why it's its own monster, in the sense that you have to pick your judges. You have to find what district, what judge, and you keep changing your judge until you get the judge that you think will fit your case, or will go rogue, or will do something. But really, to me, the only way that we're going to beat this is their own game. They've been playing that long game. They've been putting in judges for 10, 15 years.
Yes.
We need to put in our own judges and become powerful like that together, and play their game and use it against them. And so they're powerful, their power also gives them a vulnerability. For example, the power of small population states who, can really they have 4 times the power that the rest of us do. But they're downfall is that it only takes a little bit of us to go vote in their district to overcome their district. So in their power, they're still weak. So we have to think about all of these issues in that same sense. Run for office. There's a lot of qualified people that could run for office. Like, I don't know of any TIs that aren't very intelligent. If you have any inclination in your local elections, run for office. And then, support these political action committees that will help you in the sense that on your campaign end, because it takes money, which I know we don't have. But some of this is just, just voting smarter and banding together and doing some things that we only have a few tools. And their tools that we have is these people need to be removed. The judges, secretaries, and the Congress people, and the military-industrial complex corporation.
And the FBI and a lot of our neighbors.
Yes, once we get new reps, then they can defund all of these things. But the reps we have right now are not going to defund them. They're going to pretend like they are, and they're going to sneak in a bigger budget on the next bill.
That's the reason why they say that they want Donald Trump not to go in that White House, because Trump is saying if he goes in there, he's going to tear down that DOJ. He's going to tear down the federal government. So they are trying to keep him out of there. But do you realize now that Trump has the majority of the votes right now? And let's just hope that they don't, that he can go through with it, because if he gets in there, I really think that's when we'll see some sort of a result of this, because actually, according to Trump, he himself is being targeted.
Yeah.
He knows what we're going through.
They don't.
Exactly.
I don't believe
he
Trump.
had put out go ahead. I'll tell you about the documents that he put out. I'll try to get them for you. Trump, before he left office, he put out two articles concerning gang stalking. He put one out in 2019. He put another one out in 2020. Two documents concerning he was trying to get a law against gang stalking, multiple stalking. He put those two out. We need to be educated. I'm going to say this, and I won't be saying anymore. I'm going to just listen. We need to be educated on the politicians, what judge is right, we need to do some background, my own opinion, need to do some background research on all these politicians. And we don't want to put anybody in office that has a bad background or is not capable of taking care of what we're going to be doing. Somebody that's going to be standing up, but they're cowards. So it's going to be a hard thing for us to do. So we need to be trained. We need to be getting our flyers out. We need to be going from house to house, trying to get the right people in office.
We're not gonna get anywhere continuing to vote the two-party system like you're talking about. This is voting harder, and we need to vote smarter. And so right now we need to focus on getting any incumbents out. If they have been in that office before, they need to be removed. There's no other way to do it. Trump is not going to help us. Trump is part of the swamp. I can come up with 1,000 facts on to prove that he is not going to do what he says and that he is part of the problem. We're never going to break out of this two-party system if we continue to if anyone on the board right now, except for RFK Jr., who's the biggest underdog, if you feel like Biden or Trump is going to save us from this probably is not the right thing for you, because this is a bipartisan effort to get rid of anyone who is blocking the way, and Trump is a problem.
Well, I don't feel like any politician is going to help us through this. For one thing, in my own opinion, they're too worried about their family. They are too worried about this happening to them. So there must be something more going on than we are even aware of. Maybe Eisenhower knew. He didn't tell me. He didn't tell J. Edgar Hoover. Who knows? He knows what we're up against concerning this. And then you got to look at one thing. We have 11 million illegals in our country, and a lot of them are Chinese. We also have maybe 2 to 3 million that got away that we're not even accounting. 12,000 that are coming across the border right here. We got bulldozers busting the border walls down because they want more illegals. Now, election is in November. That is about a year away. Think about how many illegals we're going to have by then. What kind of life are we going to have? What kind of plan can we come up with? Shiloh, please help me with this because I don't have a clue.
I don't think right now the system's designed to work without a president, without, it's going to continue to run in the same way if we don't put a glitch in the system. A glitch in the system for everyone is to not vote for the incumbents. It doesn't even matter who the other person is at this point, because we just want to remove everyone that, in the best show of power, the most incumbents that we can get rid of who voted for 702 to move forward would be the best thing. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this doesn't take any money from us. This just takes the fact that everybody, whatever state you're in, vote, and don't. This has nothing to do with parties, people, and with candidates at this point. This is to shock the system. Do we want to show our power as the people? Because we only have a few tools that we can do. We can eventually raise up the money. These funds take a while, even for rich people. Build these funds up. We still, we have 6 months right now before the primaries. For right now, the primaries are where we need to get rid of these people, like all of them. Literally all of them. And so I know some senators are harder to unseat because they only go up every 6 years. That, the Senate, changing the Senate out is a 6-year plan. But for right now, every House member is up. They always are, every 2 years. And so as far as throwing a glitch in their system, and also answer political polls and tell them you're going to vote for Trump or you're going to vote for Biden, and then don't, because then that just completely ruins all of any access to what they have in foresight, because they do listen to those polls. So just don't tell the polls the truth, and don't vote for any incumbents, because that's all they're trying to do is get their two-party system to where if you claim to be a Democrat, then they'll support you to get you in there to – they're going to still continue to fund this if we don't get new people. There's only 1 or 2 people that are standing up for our rights right now. The rest of them do not care. And then the judges are next, because that's got to be, they don't just get put in right away. They're appointed. But until
That's right.
So until we put a glitch in the system, I just think we have to just not be in the mode that we are thinking in terms of parties, because that's what's gotten us here. Because behind the scenes, they're all involved in the one uniparty to just have war.
Are you asking for a third-party system? What kind of system do you want?
We want a popular vote system. The two-party system is not working for us. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay, there is one candidate, and I'm not going to mention that person, but he's got a list of hit lists, actually, and one is, you mentioned the judges. One of the first things he wants to do is to investigate and go after the FISA court, because they've been approving, and we've been complaining about that for a long time. That's one. The other thing is, I wanted to ask you, because I heard the last part of a report on the radio. It was the ABC, and it was said it came from the Pentagon. This was yesterday morning, that someone talked about mind control technology that was prevalent around the world. They said, now this is from a military person who said that probably China or Russia would be the one to implement it. I mean, that's the way it came. But it identified things that we have talked about for years. And I just wondered if you had heard that, or if somebody else on the call had, because that's all I heard. It was on some talk show. What was the name of this? Armstrong and Getty is the name. They're across the world, the nation, I guess. But if anybody's heard that, I would be interested in knowing where it came from and how deep that goes.
It's called woodpecker. It is called woodpecker. It's a signal like the RNF weapons, almost like that. But
I know that.
Yes.
That's not the problem. The problem is, I'd like to know why it came from the Pentagon and a military person talking about it. I thought that was interesting.
Well, anytime that we hear, I know I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry. I'm going to quit after this, though. Anytime that we hear about any weapons, and they're all being talked about, the microwave, the Havana Syndrome, directed energy weapons, you name it, RNF weapons, they're all being talked about now. They're done with those. Those weapons are done now. Anytime you hear about a weapon, 9 times out of 10, my own opinion, they've created ones that are even better than those. They have stepped up their game.
I guess nobody has an answer for my problem, but thank you. I'll keep looking.
Yeah, I didn't see that, and I'm interested if you do find something, if you could put it in the chat, because that's interesting to me as well.
Okay, I don't do the chat. I'm just on the phone, but thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Why don't they use them on the illegal aliens? The people that are coming in here illegally. Why do they have to do it on Americans, innocent Americans? This is crazy.
They get to fly. They get to fly free too. If you don't have an ID, you can't get on the plane, but they can. Someone said best way to do it is go in as an illegal. That's weird.
Yeah, it's terrible. You get treated better when you're an illegal than if you are a law-abiding, tax-paying American. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, I will say one thing. I'm not totally against military preparedness. I am against a military-industrial complex that comes back against its own people. But I do think that when we have the likes of people like Putin and the Ayatollah in Iran, terrorist groups, and they are real, then I think we have to stay prepared. So I'm not totally against that. I believe we need some sensibility going on. So I can't go completely with you and say everything's got to go. We need to be prepared, especially because what's going on in Israel, we saw the face of what terrorism is on October 7th. It's hideous and evil. And this is the kind of thing that's going to happen here. They started talking about it in the 80s, and then we got it in 9/11. They said, yeah, it's coming to this nation. We have probably people walking around this nation right now who are terrorists because it's so easy to get here. Well, and it's been going on for 3 years.
There's not much that they've been doing with they don't solve but 20% of crime. And I understand, we don't need an anarchy, but they need to cut the budgets of the security and the military by 50%. We instigate most of what any sort of military action, we've instigated that. The reason why we're having so many immigrants is because of sanctions that we've done. Like we're responsible for a lot of the actions that are any military actions that we have going on. We continually creep up on China. We did it to Russia. We're now protecting somebody who's not our NATO ally. It's just a big money laundering scheme, all of it pretty much. And they use this fear of, these psyops of fear that the illegal immigrants are going to get you, and that that we need to have this military action the way that it is, and we don't, because they're the ones that are doing these experiments on us. They do not. Somebody mentioned earlier that this is about population control, and that has been brushed off as a conspiracy theory, and I am finding nothing but evidence to prove that is actually an agenda for whoever your they is. Their intention is to depopulate the world, and they don't want us. They want us eating bugs and these other things that are being brushed off as a conspiracy theory. And so to get to these is to not buy into the fear that everybody is a terrorist, because that's what they've done to us, is by making you believe that if you are on this list that you deserve it. And we don't. I don't know anybody that I have met that is actually a terrorist. And certainly, what's going on in Israel and Palestine at this point, they've gone way too far for any sort of, blaming terrorists for the 7th of October. They've gone and gone way too far. And,
not if you get the truth.
I'm sorry.
We need to look for the truth. I'm sorry. We do need to look for the truth.
Definitely, and I think that any of these people are all being dealt with without due process. And it's one thing when it's another person when you go, oh, it's just the terrorists in Guantanamo, and then we find out what they were doing to them. Oh, it's just the people on the terrorist watch list. They deserve that. And this is now it's moving into like the J6 and that sort of thing where people are saying, well, they don't deserve to be on the terrorist watch list. But then what is a terrorist, if they don't? And so there's this whole idea of, like, most crime is not terrorism. Terrorism holds a specific point, is to make people afraid. And a lot of this crime that they're putting into the terrorism bucket is just straight old crime or being provoked. I'm not
talking about us as domestic terrorism, whatever they call it. Terrorism has become something within my lifetime which didn't happen. We didn't hear about it until the 1980s. A lady came over from the Middle East and said, we have to stop telling people that they go to heaven by killing other people like this, by murdering people, suicide bombings, that sort of thing. That is terrorism, and that was new. That came along new in the 80s with us. And we should have listened. There is such a thing as Islamic terrorism. It's a culture of death in some places, not for the less extreme. I have some Islamic friends who are not at all like that. But it is a breeding ground in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Yemen. There are places where it's breeding, and Islam is very much in power in the Middle East through Iran. Iran is doing that. We need to understand that if Israel is the little Satan, the United States of America is the big Satan to them. It's a culture of death. We live in a culture of life, and we need to say so right now and defend Israel's right to defend itself and to get rid of that kind of thing that happened, that hideous thing that happened on October 7th. I started off right after World War II. I saw as a 5-year-old, I saw piles of bodies, because the newsreels would come on in between features at the movies. I asked my mother, what is that? Because everybody got quiet instead of going for popcorn. They sat there and stared at the screen. I asked her, what is that? She said, it's people. I couldn't understand her. It's people, Lonnie. I never thought that would happen again. Those films were made because General Eisenhower wanted the world to know, because the world would not believe it. The world has seen. You can see the films. They will show those films of what happened on October 7th. It's happened again, and I do not want to see this happening again. I don't care what the numbskulls and the rest of the world are believing. They need to know the truth, and we all do. And I'm going to get off because I'm an old lady, and I shouldn't get too carried away. God bless everybody.
I agree that there should be no more war crimes on our dime. And
babies shouldn't be on the list, and elderly ladies and elderly people shouldn't be on the list. They need to take the money out of the FBI that promotes them treating people like they're commodities, like it's a big way to make money. And that's ridiculous when they treat people like they're things and they're not people.
And all of this taxpayer dollars that we're paying, like, we really can't afford this. These wars that we're putting on a credit card, essentially, for, Eisenhower was talking about how this was going to break the middle class. This is breaking the middle class. We cannot get involved in these wars anymore. And this, war on terrorism, every time we wage a war on something, we lose a bunch of money and incarcerate people and ruin lives over these wars that we create on whatever it is. And it's not working. We did not win the wars on terrorism. We have not done that. And then there's not really been any incidents of these things that, used to occur. And it's hard to call terrorism to someone, if you're going to call it a war, is it a war or is it terrorism? Then they have to have a right to an army. I just don't want to pay for it anymore. And I think a lot of people don't want to pay for this anymore. Nobody's making it in the middle class. There's not a middle class anymore. And all of our money, like anything that we ask for, like childcare, some of these things that, that may not affect us older people anymore, but, babies, if we want to not depopulate the world, we need to take care of our families and people that have kids. And instead of spending this money, these $1 trillion every year that they lose and don't account for, and so that money needs to be spent on us. That's our taxpayer dollars. We have a right to demand that we have representation for that taxation and where that's being spent. And currently, right now, if we let it go as is and feed into the fear of terrorism, we're essentially, supporting Colonel Sanders is the chicken. So we need to cut their budgets by 50% at least, stop instigating everything and allowing war crimes. They're committing war crimes against us. On top of treason, this is war crimes that they're doing. And that doesn't include the things on video that you saw on the video. Yes, we are not the good guy in this scuffle. We have not been the good guy since World War II. And so we have to unwrap our economy out of this. And it's really the only way. There's no way into the system with the tools that we have. We don't have access to gerrymandering. We can't do that as we the people. That's not how it works. That's for the parties and for the other special interests that have the ability to do that already. There's just some of these tools that we have, which is voting and voting smarter and getting at these people, hit them right in the budget. If anybody has any other suggestions, that could help throw a shock in the system, not just elevate certain candidates. If there is any suggestions, what can we do to band together to stop the military-industrial complex? And it's moved on to the medical-industrial complex as well. Now they're connected. All of these industrial complexes, including the ones that are now, policing our speech. Does anyone have any suggestions on how we can effectively get rid of them?
Defund. The only thing I can think about is we're complaining about these wars, and I do too. I have a little lightweight job, so I'm as well paying taxes to fund this. Okay, so I don't know how to go about putting in a defund the military, defund the black fund, and they're doing all these wars with all of these illegals. We need to focus on that, I think, a little bit, because they're getting like $5,000 when they come in across the border. They get like a debit card with money on it, and they get a cell phone, get a hotel room, and we're paying for that too. The taxpayers are paying for that too. It's a destruction of America. Some things need to be defunded. They don't need the funds. If they didn't have the funds, they couldn't do this. And you got to look at all of the agencies that are participating in this. All of the investigative agencies. They're really having a ball with this because they're getting those grants to do this. The police station are getting grants to do this. So defund this crap.
I'm curious where the information is that you said they were receiving all these money benefits, because I know this because I went through the immigration system with my ex-husband, and also was I did casework in immigration. Immigration is self-funding. It does not take. I'm talking about border, the militarized piece of the border, those people.
Well, I got this information from like 5 people. One of them work on the border. They send them to the social service. I know that you say you did the immigration, so you would have more information than what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
so,
they definitely
maybe
do not.
They're lying to me, or for some reason All of these illegals are coming to America.
It's
For
because
some reason, they're coming in with new clothes, haircuts, laptops, cell phones. So I don't know. I don't know, but I
personally
think it's
believe that right now that this crisis at the border is just a psyop to get 702 pushed through, because what happens is people do the same thing that you're talking about and think we're being invaded by immigrants, and that's not really what's happening. And so it's, yes, they are coming in, and I do understand that a large amount of them at one time does overwhelm the system, but they're definitely not telling you the truth on what it's like to be a migrant that is coming over here, crossing the border in a way that claiming asylum. They used to put them into for-profit prisons, and so then they started this ankle monitor program. Asylum cases take about 10 years. But again, USCIS is completely self-funding. You have to pay for all of those when you go through the immigration system. There's fees that go along with each little piece that you do for, different receipts. So that's self-funding. There is not any way that they are, given money monthly other than through nonprofits and other systems that are set up for them. So to me,
the people that I talk to must be lying to me. One of them works on the border, and they deal with social service, and they get an envelope, I've been told. So maybe the information that I got was a lie. But even if it was a lie, why is there so many illegals, and why did that happen in New York when they were living in the 5-star hotels that the taxpayers paid for, and it was all men, not women, not families, not children, all men, and they were ready. They wouldn't leave the hotel. They demanded to stay. They were wondering why they couldn't participate in the American dream. Well, guess what? I'm wondering why I can't participate in the American dream when I've been an American citizen all my life, and I have worked for 30 years of my life to put money into the system. Why can't I have the American dream?
And I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. They need to start giving the money back to us and stop spending it all on these military guns and playing around with war. And they've lost trillions of dollars. I agree with you. They need to start, this money needs to come back to us.
But Shiloh, there's a show that comes on every Saturday. It's called Law and Border. And it comes on most of the time on Real America Voices, Rave. It's a news station on Pluto. Okay. When he shows that Law and Border, they showed the people, thousands of them crossing the border. These people come across the border, and when they make it over here on this side, they come across here with bracelets on. And they drop those bracelets as soon as they get here. They showed all the bracelets. They showed where some of the people had died, children had died, and they just left them there. Then they actually showed them handing out identification to these people. So these people, they don't even know where they are now. They have no way of keeping up with them. So they're everywhere, and they got identification. Some of them were given driver's license, all kinds of identification. I think that one of the reasons why that's done is because it's around election time. I think those people, as a matter of fact, they did say that they will have the right to vote. They haven't clarified that yet, but that's a thought that they are floating around, that these people will have a right to vote. And can you imagine that?
Currently,
Shiloh, can I ask a question?
Sure.
First of all, thank you for your presentation. I want to be honest, I got a little bit lost in it, but I surely understand the gist of it. To Constance's point, I did see and to Ms. G's point, I actually saw a news report where it was giving an explanation of why they get these cell phones, and they're not just flip phones, they're smartphones, which we know cost $200 and upwards. They give them the cell phones to keep tabs on them for their appointments, to decide their court dates. So I did hear that on a news report that they are given smartphones at taxpayers' dollars. But why, and I've also heard that perhaps the reason Biden did this was so he could be voted back into the White House through these immigrants because they will have the right to vote. Can you shed some light on that at all? And I'm interested in getting back to what you originally started talking about as to what do we do? How do we form a PAC? How do we go forward? So if you could answer those two questions for me, I'd really appreciate it.
Sure. Currently, only U.S. citizens can vote, and so they're very strict about that. I don't know of ways that people can get around lying about voter registrations. It's just not, I guess I've lived in border states most of my life, and so there's not cases of people that are overrunning the system. It's not that easy to get, and these aren't people with green cards. This is the full, you have to be a naturalized citizen to even be able to register to vote.
Yeah, but that's the kind of identification they're getting. They're not getting green cards. These people are getting legitimate identification, such as driver's license. These people, they already have it floating around. That these people, whether it's legal or not, these people have identification as one credential that you're going to need in order to vote. As far as they're coming here, you don't know where they are. These people are legitimate with that identification. That makes them legitimate.
But that doesn't
It just seems to be something going on.
You have to have a naturalized paperwork. It's not just you show an ID and you register to vote. That's not how it works. And there is a background check, or at least a check on who you are through the Postal Service and through some other checks that I don't know that anyone who's tried to foil this system has gotten themselves a felony for messing around and registering their dog, and for registering people that, they've lied to immigrants before and said, oh, if you're going to get your, immigration papers, you can register to vote now, which is not the truth. And then the immigrants were charged with, voter fraud, essentially, when they weren't citizens. So I don't think this system is easy to foil as you think it is. It's not just that you go in and you have your ID legitimizes you. They check your immigration status with the Secretary of State and the clerks that you are registering with. That's why most states don't have a one-day registration. Those go into a separate, they have to verify that you are a U.S. citizen being able to vote on the back end of that. It's not as easy as you think it is.
But Shiloh, because we've never seen them come through in these kind of numbers, there does seem to be some type of hidden agenda. We've never seen them come like this before, not by the thousands, the millions. The last 4 grocery deliveries I've had, they don't even speak English. So my thinking is they were part of the people, part of the immigrants that came over here, and the first thing they do is go to Walmart and get a job, or DoorDash and get a delivery job.
That is true, and that is true. And
they didn't speak a lick of English.
Mm-hmm.
But get identification. They give them identification. The identification is legitimate. I'm telling you, it's just as good as our ID is. That's the way they got it going now.
Yep, and another thing is, what about the getaways? What about the 2 or 3 million that got away? What about the Arabs that was on the airplane? Remember, they brought back 70,000 of them, and they didn't even participate in the
How is feeding into this fear, these psyops that they're doing? Like, all of these things are psyops that you guys are mentioning. This is not things that are valid fears that are going to come and like that we're going to be overrun by illegal voters. It's just not happening. Those things are, these fears aren't, they're not connecting.
It's not a fear.
So
it's not a fear.
But how is that?
Shiloh, it's not a fear. It's something we should open our eyes to.
It's something going on.
There is something there.
Shiloh, you're the only one that I said that's disputing this, Shiloh, is you. Everybody else is saying that this is actually happening, Shiloh.
We are
it really is.
So what are you saying?
We're TI, so the first people they're going to hit is us.
the military gets a pass.
They get a text message, and who knows? We might be gone. We're already.
Yeah, they're even talking about putting these immigrants. They say the reason why they're letting so many males come because we have a shortage on military people. So they say they're even going to let these people start enrolling into the military. The men. That's why so many men. So many men. They letting them enroll. That's why they.
Where is this leading us to being able to overcome the system with our fear of immigrants? I don't understand how this is going to connect.
It's not a fear. God opens your eyes. God opens your eyes. He opens your eyes to what you need to look for. God gives you the spirit of discernment.
How are these fears going to help us band together to get rid of incumbents?
No. It's not that it's going to help us band together, because I think we're going to be able to do that fearlessly. But it's just something about this that we need to pay a little more attention to.
It's showing you. It's already laying out for you what's going to happen. Now, you could be in denial about it. You could deny that it's happening, but it's laid right before you. Now, somebody like me, I go all the way back to the time when Nixon was in the White House. I got something to compare this to. And you can best believe, compared to then, in between then and now, something is going on here. And I'm telling you, the legal system is gone. It can't fix anything. It's the legal system that's doing this. So,
Shiloh, I think in answer to your question, I'm sorry, Ms. G, I didn't mean to talk over you. In answer to your question, I think the concern for me, it's not a fear. I don't really have an issue with these people coming over here because it could have been me. It could have been you that's trying to, have a better life or have the American dream. So I get that. But I'm saying there has to be a hidden agenda. And my concern is, what hope do we have if they become the majority? If we put a PAC in place, if we try to put voting in place to get rid of some of these people in office, what chance do we have if they become the majority? There is a reason all of these people are coming over here when we're already so overpopulated.
And then once you get that package together, who are you going to put that package before? Who does the package go before when they're all involved in this here? There's nobody to present the package to because they're all involved.
And what's wrong with voting for an individual? I believe, I guess I'm an independent. I've been both. I've been either Republican or Democrat, and independent. But I vote for the individual, and I think that's important. I can't stop doing that. Now, I live in a blue state. I'm definitely not blue. So it will be easy to vote against a lot of incumbents here. But it's individuals that are important. Look to the heart. It's like someone said, we need discernment.
Yeah, at this point, if we want to shock the system, we have to get rid of who's in there at this point, regardless of immigrants. If you want my personal opinion on immigrants and what's going on, this has happened many times over. They do this every time that we're being invaded by. What they do is they create sanctions, or they cut somebody's aid in another country so that we appear to be overrun with immigrants, so that they will then extend 702, because then people sit around and blame everything on the immigrants, and they go, oh, this, and I'm afraid of this, and this is going to happen, and you are giving the military-industrial complex a pass when you are saying that these things, like that we need to have a military action against migrants and terrorists and the rest of us that are on this bogus list. So if
these people are on a mission.
We're going to just
on a mission. These people are on a mission, Shiloh, and they are going through that. They just going into this. Who said
who
that?
People?
I meant the ones that are in power, the ones that are the law. These people have a mission that they're on, and if you get in the way, they're just going to kick you to the curb and continue on. Now, it's not a matter of us liking the immigrants or disliking them. These people are invading this country. Never before has it been this many immigrants crossing the border all at once like they doing now. Never in the history of this country.
There's been, they do this every time. You can just go
not this many, Shiloh. They've never done this in this
and they do, but
before.
What is that? So we give the military a pass because now they're running a psyop saying that they're all coming over here and there's got to be
I don't think anybody deserves a pass. Pass is out of the question. We just need to come up with some sort of decision as to how we're going to handle this on our own, because we don't have any backup. We don't have it. This is up to us.
And I personally don't think that worrying about the immigrant situation right now is going to help us in any way, because it just makes the fear of immigrants that we need military action.
Yeah, but you say we don't have any money. That's the reason why we don't have any money. They are draining our wallets. So don't say nothing about money, because they're taking our money now.
We just need the laws. The laws to be enforced. If the laws are not being enforced for immigration, I've got two experiences. I'd just like to tell you.
To war.
6 of immigration.
Shiloh, you cutting in and off. I can't hardly hear you.
Yeah, 60% of the budget goes to war and to the military. 60% of our entire budget goes to war.
That's all that Ukraine don't get, huh?
But I'm saying most of our money, we can't afford the wars. The food stamps and other things that people are getting are not, a drop in the bucket compared to trillions of dollars of 60% of our entire budget.
But a lot of our money is going to Ukraine right now. Billions and billions of our taxpayer money is going to Ukraine right now.
80 billion.
$12 billion targeted people. We left it in Afghanistan. $12 billion worth of equipment that has been sold to China by the Taliban. We do some stupid things in this world.
Yeah, stupid stuff.
But if the illegal men, when they're coming in by the tons, they're military able, if they become a part of the military in the United States of America, wow, we're going to really feel safe then, aren't we?
Well, that's what they're talking about. You should think about that. Think about it. Because they're putting it all before you. And it's up to you to think about it and decide what you're going to do about it. Because they're not going to withdraw. They're not going to take it back. It's up to us. But you can sit up there and you can pretend that it's not happening when it really, really is.
I know there's not much I can do about it. Right now I'm trying to stay alive as a targeted individual. So there's not much I can do about the war. There's not much I can do about the budget. You know what I mean? I can write my Congress people. I can do what I need to do. But right now in my life, I'm trying to stay alive.
Yeah, me too.
So the border, I have no control over that today. But right now I have control over trying to figure out how I'm going to bring awareness so that targeted people can stay alive, right?
Amen.
Yeah, definitely. And what I see as the problem is these unelected officials and these corporations are having the ability to make money off of us. Not only is it a war crime, but they're profiting off of the torture that they're doing to us and the harassment that they're doing. And so to me, the budget, the most important piece of this is defunding these programs and getting to them.
Is there a way we could expose this to the public? Because I think if Americans as a whole would realize what our government is doing to innocent Americans and how they are physically abusing them, I think they'd be appalled. And maybe the more people that know about it, and they could be next on the list, maybe they would help being angry and say, enough is enough, leaders, stop this.
I think the best thing that we could do at this point, this country needs to see us once, because there's a lot of us that's being targeted but just not saying anything about it. We need to let these people see us. Now, Black Lives Matter got together and look what they did. Of course, we're not going to do that. But look how they had such a big group We need to get together and let these people see us, rally down them streets, and let these people know, yeah, this is happening to us. And we're telling you that so in case it happens to you, you would know what to do about it. But you got people like there's 2 rallies coming up. We need to be at those rallies, if not one of them, both of them. We need to be
by
seen.
The thousands.
We need to be
by
seen.
The thousands.
We need to be heard. And talking about it ain't no good. That's not working. We need to actually get out there and be seen.
I think you have to be careful with that.
But we only need 3.5% of the people being aware of this to make real change. It does not have to be a ton of people. And I think, me personally, I think the reason why the targeted community has issues getting this out is because everyone wants to argue about semantics and small things instead of focusing on the things that we have that are similar. And
yeah, but if you're marching down the street, you ain't got to say nothing. If a whole bunch of us march down that street, we really don't have to say anything. They'll see what we're out there for.
I don't feel like, and this is just my opinion because other people feel differently, but I don't feel like protesting does anything other than silent protesting with something like withholding your voting for incumbents, like all of us. If we all do something that's silent and not illegal and is something that they can't control. And also understand with mind control that it's not just a computer system hooked up to people's brains. They have lots of techniques that is mind control. For instance, things that I was taught when you are knocking on doors to get people to vote for you, you need to say the person's name 6 times. These are mind control techniques that don't have anything to do with computer or technology. They just make you change your mind at the last minute. So you go in and say, oh, Joe Biden or Trump this, and you say his name 6 times in the conversation. Oh, well, Trump will do this or this or that, because your brain then recognizes that name after the 6 times. All of those signs that you send is another little mind control technique, because then you see those names outside of the areas, and then that name is branded in there. You don't remember where the name came from, but you've heard that name before. Name recognition. So again, we have to vote smarter and not the way that we have been, letting them decide what we are afraid of. And we don't need to be afraid of changing the system. They're not making it better. It doesn't matter who the other alternative is. It's better than who's in there right now, because they're going to continue status quo as is. And don't let yourself be susceptible to these fear campaigns. They are absolutely put out on purpose to distract you from the actual perpetrators.
Yes, Shiloh, but what you're talking about, how long is it going to take us to do that? You sound like you're talking about 50 years to do what you're talking about.
No,
I'm talking about doing something now.
It's a 6-year plan.
6 years?
6 years. We can change and get the electoral system fixed in 2. But we need people to band together. We only need 300,000 people to make a difference and be able to swing the Senate this time.
Now, how long did you say 6 years to do it?
6 years for this entire thing to completely reset the system. Yes, 6 years.
You know what I think would be a really good thing? I heard they were going to make a video that has experts on it that are saying about, yes, this is going on. Yes, our government's being abusive. Yes, this is not in their mind. This is real. And have it going. I think we should have it on television and have everybody find out about this, because I think it's the biggest secret to try to keep this hidden and have people suffer in private, that I think they need to have it blasted on the TV so everybody can see that we need some correction done in our country. This is abuse, and this can't keep going on.
Yes, definitely. I'll keep trying to get this out to the media. I've had 0 success with it to get out to the media. I think telling your own personal story on these outlets with PIs and, then moving forward into this platform that is built already. Please join the platform. There is a free membership on there. Since it's a non-profit, it should be able to be not so much susceptible to the censorship industrial piece of this. Like, freedom of speech and freedom of reach are not the same thing. My frustration with X is that I still have a shadow ban. People don't see my stuff. They're not going to, as long as this program is in effect, because they don't want people to hear my voice. They want me to be quiet. They want us not heard and people to think we're crazy.
I totally agree with that. That's what they want. That's exactly
so we're going to have to take this media into our own hands in the sense that, yes, take to the streets when we need to for these rallies, continue to write your reps, continue to write to the journalists who are now uncovering this. Some of the independent journalists, they're going to find it. Schellenberger and the Taibbi, and then this new one, the girl's name is Gutentag, and they are going through and finding the military contractors are involved in PSYOPs, debanking, counterterrorism. You know, they're finding this information, and so it is coming out. Keep doing that. It's the non-TI supporters that we have are the ones that are going to help spread the word, because it's not coming from somebody who is suffering from it. It's coming from somebody who's seen the suffering. And
Shiloh, I have something to say. You know, one thing, you just mentioned it, and it brought it all back to me. I'm Diane in St. Louis, but what I wanted to say is, you know, we have so many targeted individuals or targeted victims that actually die, and there's families that become aware of what happened to their family members. Is there a way to engage that, and have those family members talk about what's happened to their family members? Because then they're not crazy people. They're just speaking the truth about what happened to their family member. Does that make any sense?
Get the message out as best we can and start utilizing some of these. Again, the program's grown so big, and, we're all smart people. There's some new media outlets that are, catered towards TIs, some different things. We're going to be able to get this message out, because the thing is Hollywood is changing. The digital landscape is changing for the media, which I think most of us understand why we can't get this to the media is because, they have control over all of the media. There's only a couple people in the media players right now. And they all, Project Mockingbird and all of these things. And so we just need to use these platforms that have, the ability of us to speak freely, which X is better, but it's not perfect. TikTok is better, not perfect. That's, again, I'm hoping with the nonprofit that it will be a platform. This is what I'm talking about. Somebody asked, what is the platform? It's this Remote Workers Association platform. It is built. So it's not something you can just put a quick website together. It is a social media platform. It's got the regular platform for the online. It also has the app for Apple and for Android. This is ready to go. It just needs a little tuning up and getting this ready for this. It's could compete with these other things. Being a nonprofit, you are a member into this platform. So as a member, we should be able to look at whatever and post whatever we want within reason. Of course, nobody's a free speech absolutist. People are not. But the thing is that you're a member of this. It's not just like we're not going to allow bots on here. Like you can have a free membership, but none of these things that are going on these big platforms are going to be allowed to be done on this nonprofit program, which allows us to not be focusing on profit. We don't have to take money from advertisers. It's all within the platform. So please use this platform when it launches. Go sign up on the website, remoteworkersassociation.org. Right now, just put your email in there, and then when we have the ability to launch this, I'm in the paperwork process of filing for the 501c4, and for all the paperwork that goes along with this. It's a lot of paperwork for this and the PAC and the nonprofit and all of that. And so as soon as I'm able to do that, then I'm able to effectively receive donations easier and these larger amounts, to where we can get the platform rolling as quickly as possible. Like I said, it's built. And so just sign up, subscribe right now, and then I will, send out an email blurb saying, come on here and log in and set up an account. And again, it's similar to what a Facebook looks like, what X looks like. They have, people like groups. We have to have groups. There's events that you can make if you have the paid membership. It's going to be a little bit for business members who have remote workers, who are digital nomads. You sometimes need contractors. So there'll be, groups and other places to post for, if you've ever been involved with the Chamber of Commerce, the types of things that they do for their members are, it's all member driven. So these things are not advertising driven and where you get this messaging thing. This is a grassroots. You can say what you want to on here. You can talk about you can create a group for TIs that are religious TIs. You can create a group for TIs that are, not religious. Whatever you want, whatever group you want in here. This is to unite the communities so that we can vote where we want to. They've been doing it for years. They all do it. They vote and run in whatever district they want to. We can do the same thing. We don't have to. We just have to follow the residency rules. So again, I don't want this to go back to the immigrant issue because we're all American citizens here. Nobody's here as an immigrant or not a naturalized citizen. If you are welcome, then you're welcome to vote. This is not any kind of plot to do anything that is not lawful. This is 100% lawful. This is the best way to do this, just coming from the political fundraising end of this as a campaign manager. If we want to fight fire, we have to play the same game that they're playing. And the game that we're playing with this back and forth between the two-party system and arguing about which party or which candidate is never going to get us any action. It's ineffective. And so to be effective is we need to go straight to the representatives with our legislation. We need to, in 2025, when the new Congress is in there, hopefully we have gotten rid of the people we need to get rid of, we immediately go in with legislation on the lobby end that says you need to get rid of these setup of the military-industrial complex. We need to make sure that all of the human things are outlawed. And I get it. I know not everybody follows the rules, but these people do. They just create laws to go around the rules. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make it illegal for them. We're going to make it treasonous for them to do human experiments. We're going to make sure that there's penalties for these things. That starts at lobby. 702 FISA starts at lobby in 2025, January 22nd. That's what this is. We don't have these arms currently as we the people. We don't have a lobby arm, and we don't have a political action fund arm like the rest of these special interests do. We have nothing. They changed the rules to the game, and nobody let us know how to play our piece of the game. So I'm going to tell you how to do this. And again, you don't have to follow my platform. You can create this on your own. Every other political action, it's just hard to raise the funds unless we're all together, because this is going to take some going into the lobbying groups. This is going to take some hobnobbery. This is going to take the action of some people who are in D.C. Like, we need the TIs. Please join and then tell me your expertise, because I think we can do this all with people who are from this community, because we are all intelligent. We were doing good things before this happened to us. And so I think this is great. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Shiloh, this is with the assumption that even if we get a victory at the Fifth Circuit, that it will go to the Supreme Court, and it could be until 2025 or beyond. I mean, is this still necessary even if we get a victory? And I guess it is, because those people would still be in office to potentially do this again.
Yes, I think both. Nothing that targeted justice is doing is going to be harmful or or they're not in competition. These are two separate pieces that I'm going to poke from this end and they poke from that end, and that we hopefully can get this done. But this is the system that will make our voice heard. What she's going to be able to change, with this wheels turning slowly, if they are successful, would be to upset the terrorist watch list database in its entirety and rewrite the couple things that have the executive order that has put the terrorist watch list in. That's where that's going to come into. But the thing is there is at least 10 laws that are allowing them to do this. There is 17 intelligence agencies spread across, 10 different offices and agencies. It's just so complicated and so many webs of different laws. It's not just the Patriot Act.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay, hopefully I answered that for you in a way that...
Yes, you did. Absolutely, you did. Thank you.
And somebody mentioned on chat here that that it is the same party. It is. The ones that need to go are the Univor party. They're just there to prop up the military-industrial complex. And for another mention, somebody had asked about what can we do. We also need to unite together. Again, I'm hoping with this platform, remote workers, where we can come together as a group. We also need to sue some of these contractors that have done this to us, such as Palantir, I understand Ericsson. There's some of these that really we would have more success in banding together and suing them than it's harder than it is. It's not as hard to sue businesses as it is to sue the government. And so we need to, again, in the future, look to suing these people for damages. They've ruined our lives with their illegal technology. They've connected the dots to these police departments.
Could it also be human trafficking that they're doing to us? They make a big thing out of human trafficking going across the border, but they're human trafficking us, having us, they pay money to get us on the list, or they get paid to abuse us. Something like that could even be a good lawsuit too, couldn't it?
And actually, I just saw that in the past couple of days, the Attorney General of New Mexico is suing Zuckerberg and his Facebook and Instagram for human trafficking and child trafficking.
Because we're in that category, I believe.
Yes, it definitely is. And yes, these efforts, they are coming out slowly but surely. The fact that, an attorney general has taken up against one of these large tech platforms that we know this stuff is going on. We saw it. It was on X before. It seems to me, I never really saw any of that stuff that was on there with the, the children and stuff. But apparently that was a big issue. Facebook is still going on. All of this is considered trafficking. I mean, they're making money off of us just for...
Yeah, we're commodities. That's wrong.
But
Shiloh, when we get off the phone tonight, what is the one most important thing you need us to do right away?
Please get on the list for remoteworkersassociation.org. There's a spot to just subscribe to the, subscribe to the updates. And then, of course, the donations. I do need small donations to get started on this, to get going, and to get the platform up and rolling.
Can you repeat that once more, the name?
Remote Workers, REMOTEWORKERS.
Shiloh, you say you're gonna on the post where we can give a donation, right? Where we can just log in and make a donation.
Yes, it's set up right now. It's just to get it official to where I have an actual platform and a store, and it's like set up for real donations where you can pick a level and you can do it for, if you want it to come out $3 a month or whatever it is. I'm right in the process. I have to get the company set up to finish that out. So right now it's run through something called Give Butter, and it's a nonprofit platform that has a campaign on there. If you just hit the donate button, it'll take you to the platform, which goes to the remote workers. So give me another...
I would like to say to you, Shiloh, that I have been around to the different conferences that TJ has had, and I'm going to tell you straight up that you are an encouragement for me, and you allow us to get on here and express ourselves. I have not heard anyone use a curse word. We all, like you say, we are highly intelligent people, but I'm just so grateful to have run into someone such as yourself, Shiloh.
Yeah,
and I hope to continue working with you. And as far as I'm concerned, you are the chief leader, and I'm willing to follow you and what you say. I will listen to and try to do the best I can to fulfill what it is that you're asking us to do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I just want everyone to know I'm going to put this on there. You know, we're bipartisan. We're non-denominational. We don't have a denomination here. I'm not a big religious person, but I am being led by God. All of my decisions are from God. I have a very big relationship, not with religion, but with God and with spirit. And so I'm hoping that, you know, you will recognize that I'm not doing any of this. None of my intentions, everything I'm doing is pure. I want fairness for us. I want democracy for us. I want us to be free. And whatever it is that I can do with the knowledge that I have, that I've gained, I intend to do, and I appreciate your support. We can do this together. We can do this, and I'm not asking everybody for a bunch of money to do this. You can actually not donate a thing, just vote smarter, and we can upset the system.
Shiloh, I'm sorry. I must have done something wrong. You said remote workers, ASS, correct, .org.
I'm sorry. It's association. I'm sorry it's long. It's just what I had to go with. Remote Workers Association spelled out. REM.
That's what I was missing.
Yes, and it should be up. I checked it earlier, and it's up there. But again, this is just the skeleton. Give me another week, and then I'll have it set up, the donation system set up better. Right now, it's just run through a nonprofit donation platform.
I understand. Thank you.
And then please, if you can, also, you know, most importantly, for those who don't have, are unable to donate at this point, of course, just your, you know, joining the subscription program and then joining the platform and helping us to organize these things. And again, I think we're protected on the nonprofit end with things about speech until I'm forced by some sort of court or whoever comes knocking on my door. I'm not suppressing anyone's speech because I think it's important what you just said, that people need to be heard. And even if we disagree with them, people still need to be heard.
Well, thank you for the call.
Hi, Shiloh. This is Lauren. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I want to know, how are you close, or do you even know Tucker Carlson? Are you in association with him in any way?
I am not. I actually really like Tucker. I think he's hilarious. And there are a few people that I am going to try to get in touch with if anybody has any access to any of these people. Jesse Ventura, Roseanne Barr. Who did you just mention?
Stephen K. Bannon.
Yes, Tucker Carlson. Yes, if there's anybody that has any access to these people, Roseanne seems to be the one with the closest connection to try to get to her. But some of these people, you know, Roseanne's targeted herself. She's a good one to be able to. She will hear us. And so I'm hoping, again, to continue this on the media end as well. But Tucker Carlson, if anybody has an in connect to him, that would be wonderful. I do not.
Okay, that's what I was just going to say. I want to send you some information. Hold on just a second. I want to send you some information about, you know, Tucker's got his own platform now. And I just got some information on some inside for him. So I want to be able to get that to you tonight before,
awesome.
At least before tomorrow. Okay, the other question I have is there anybody within the White House that you communicate these type of what we're going through basically? Is there anybody else that you're having this discussion with within the White House?
Not within the White House. I have not been, I've been vocally not happy with the Biden administration. And so I don't have any current people in there that I would be able to contact.
Okay. The other thing is, I had made mention of this last night. I think we need to start doing like our own ads, and I don't know if that would follow under the 501. We need to start doing our own ads, like our own broadcasting, because we cannot count on the news reporters to do anything for us at this point, except for Tucker Carlson and a few other people that he knows. We need to join forces with Tucker and see if he can't bring us on. There's a lot of people that can actually speak with him and do like live videos or what have you, and then put those videos out there as our ads, and put it out here on there's so many websites, but we have like Twitter, of course, we have Instagram. We don't have the money to pay him, but if he could just invite us on his show, and then we use that information and put it out there on the what am I trying to say? Anyway, the platforms such as Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. If we could take that, I think we need to be seen that way. We can march from here to Juvember, and like you said, it should make an impact, but it probably won't make that much of an impact. However, the one that we're getting ready to do in New Orleans and the one that's going to be done in Selma, I think it will make an impact, but to the point of what we need to do, it's going to require at least 1,000 people, in my opinion, for us to really be heard. That's just my opinion. And it's very important that we do show up. And it doesn't mean we need to be 5 or 10 here. It's going to require a lot of people for us to really get the notoriety. And I think if we can get at least 1,000 people to show up at these 2 different events, then we probably will be able to get the news involved. But for a couple of handfuls here and there, I don't think it's going to work. And that's what we need to figure out here. When we get ready to go out in the streets, how many people are going to be willing to stand strong and participate? Excuse me. Everything is always working in numbers, and we right now don't know that we have the numbers. I don't even know what the last count is for New Orleans. I think it's probably about 300 that has said that they're going to go. We've got to have at least 1,000 people. We have got to show up. If we're going to show up, we've got to show up. And so
Ann Taylor said about Alabama, the rally in Alabama, Selma. She said that there was going to be media there, local, and there was going to be international media there. She said if anyone, she asked certain people when she did the conference with Derek, would you talk? Because these people are going to have the opportunity to actually get up on that podium and actually tell about their experiences as a targeted individual. So she's allowing us to do that, but you got to actually be there at the march in order to do it, at the rally rather, in order to be able to do it. And that's the one in Selma.
Well, actually, that is what I started that march. I'm the one that originated, and it's the one that took it from me. I just put this out here because that's a fact, and that's another thing we need to stop going against each other. That was originated by me, and I'm going to tell you the real story behind that now. Maybe she's got in touch with some people, but they're already going to be the media there. There's already going to be thousands of people there because of the march. They're not coming for us. They're just already going to be there. That's something that happens every year in the spring. So I need for y'all.
I didn't know that because I never went to one, so I didn't know that.
This is why I'm telling you so that you will know, and I'm not trying to say that in a negative or smart way. They're already going to be there. So that's the part she didn't make clear to you all. Okay? And I know, because again, this was my original baby. And to back that up, you can go to TI events and you will see that I am the one that originated this march that's going to be in Selma. To my point, as far as TIs are concerned, I'm not talking about the people that are already going to be in Selma on that day. We have got to get the numbers up. And I'm going to tell you, there's enough people that's on the Twitters and the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the TikTok, because I have at least 12 point some thousand, close to 13,000 people that are liking my content. And I would say probably more than half of them are targeted individuals. We got to start doing ads where people will gravitate and see that we are really serious about these marches and the movement that we're trying to do. We've got to get ads put where our faces are going with people who are well known, like Tucker Carter, and some of those who really know what's going on. And he is one. He definitely knows what's going on with targeted individuals. So, and there are other movie stars that you all would not even imagine who are also targeted individuals. And those are the people we need to reach out to, because I know that if they see that they're not the only ones that's being targeted and that there's about 20,000 more people, I'd be willing to bet you that they wouldn't mind joining forces with us.
If we can get something together too, which I noticed that the national or the TI Day falls in August, which I guess stems from something that happened in the UK. That was their date, but that's when Congress is not in session. And so I think we need to come up with a different day and band together, like do one big shebang in DC, but also band together with some of the Assange, the free Assange.
It's always been done on August the 29th. We've been doing it for years. Every August the 29th here in America.
Yes, and so I guess that stems from the UK, which...
It does not stem from the UK. That was originated here in the United States.
Do you know why they put a march on Congress when Congress is not in session?
No, and I probably don't care why. But anyway, Glenn Beck, like G said, is a good one. Anonymous is a good one. J.T. Harris is a good one. I got like 4 more people that we should get in touch with. I'm going to mute.
Sure. And again, I still am for changing the date. If you're going to march on Congress, do it when they're there. And so even though it's been done that way, that either create a second one or band together with some of the Assange groups that are for freeing Assange, since obviously Assange is a targeted individual as well. Again, I'm talking about just effective ways to protest, because I'm not a big protest person. I don't think they're that effective. But if you get one big shebang in D.C. with other groups when Congress is in session, it will be much more effective.
Shiloh, is there any way that I can get this information to you right away?
Sure. Can you email me directly at info@ShilohTaylor, and my name is spelled S-H-I-L-O-H.
Hold on. I think I have your email, but let me go over here and double check. Hold on.
Okay.
I think we've communicated via email before. Okay, give it to me now.
It's info at ShilohTaylor.com.
I have it.
Okay. Yeah. And just make sure you have put the H in there, O-H. Taylor, T-A-Y-L-O-R.
I got it.
Okay. And I'll look for that.
I'm going to send you a test real quick. And just as soon as you can reply, I will send it to you, okay?
Perfect. Thank you. But yeah, if anybody else has any ins to, Tucker Carlson would be great because, I agree. He's made mention of things that are targeted and that it's also, in the executive branch, that it's both parties, and he knows what's going on.
He absolutely does. He's the only one.
Hi. I got to this call a little late. This is, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, Shiloh. Thank you very much for having this call tonight. This is Deborah from Manhattan, who had to relocate to New Jersey. So we were talking the other night about, forming some kind of a committee with experts, and I had a name that I wanted to pass along. Dr. James Lynn, are you familiar with that name?
I don't think so, actually.
Yeah, that would be a good name to put on our list because, maybe we can do a couple things at the same time, and formulating, an experts list would be something that I think would prove very helpful to us. So, and his name is Dr. James Lynn. Let me just pull this up here. And again, I apologize for getting on this call late. I had an appointment, but I've been listening for about an hour here.
Sure, perfect. Is his name spelled L-Y-N or L-I-N?
L-I-N.
L-I-N.
And of course, if you Google any of these names, probably with the word neuroweapons, that's helpful. But so he's with the University of Chicago. But let me just clarify that, confirm that. Just a second. I'm losing my notes here. Darn it. So he's with the University of Chicago, and he's someone that demonstrates the microwave hearing effect, V2K. So he would be probably somebody that, well, not probably, but he would be somebody that we would want to contact. And then I was thinking after our call the other night, Shiloh, is Dr. Len Baer. He is someone who, of course, has a podcast. And he has a lot of different experts over the years. He's had a lot of different experts on his podcast. So he might be somebody that we could reach out to see if he could think of someone or could recommend other experts that might be, suitable for, what we're trying to put together in terms of this expert list. So Dr. Len Baer, who speaks to a lot of different people and who's very vocal, as we all know, and has a podcast and probably comes across so many different, people who are either experts or, what have you. And he might be somebody that we might want to just ask, of in terms of has he come across anybody who might be, someone who we might want to contact in terms of placing on this list or contacting in terms of,
Yeah, this list is definitely important and a great idea. And also for people to add to this list, I think that Dr. Baer would be great. And then also if anybody knows experts that are already registered in the court system to testify as an expert, an energy expert, there's this piece of evidence that we have to, obviously use experts for, which we were talking about on the last call. And so if anybody has any of those court experts as well, because they're going to be the ones that are going to be the missing piece for you in your personal cases.
Well, when you say court experts, what do you mean exactly?
That when you go to court, you have to have experts generally that are, like, for example, and this is not civil court, but this is, regular criminal court, like blood splatter experts. Like, you can't just say you're a blood splatter. You have to be registered with a court and, like, prove that you are a blood splatter expert or you are a DNA expert. And so a lot of them are already registered and ready to go to be an expert witness for civil and other types of cases, which just a way to prove your case that your science is correct, that your photo actually identifies weapon.
Right,
you know?
sure. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think this is super important for us to get together, create a group or a place where people can, meet and greet these people. There's a lot of evidence that I imagine if we got together, if for me and an expert, there's something to these blue lasers. I'm sorry, there absolutely is, and I have some stuff that from what I believe a weaponized tower, I believe I have really good evidence. I just need an expert to prove to me and to the other side of this, that what I'm seeing and what I have on video and what is that they can monitor that or put it's this many megahertz or whatever it is. That piece needs to be filled in if we're going to win our cases.
Sure.
Because
and another name would, of course, be Dr.
Sorry, there was more than one.
I'm sorry. Another.
Shiloh, what are the blue lasers?
Yeah, what does the laser do?
There's been some evidence with the Maui, if any of you followed the Maui fires, if you watched some of the videos of people,
yes, I was just talking about that.
Yeah, it appears that it is a directed energy weapon. It also, that guy, the one that they just blew up his house, that blamed it on his flares.
Yeah. I was just talking about that about 4 hours ago. This is strange. They're painting the wealthy that I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. They're painting the wealthy that has property in Maui. The houses are being painted blue. If you notice too, and I don't know if a lot of people really know what we're talking about, but they were shooting lasers. About 3 months ago? When did the fires? Was it about 3 months ago? It's not been that long. Anyway, they were shooting these lasers from the sky, which I think were drones, and but they were not hitting anything that was blue. So, for instance, Oprah, I'll just say the rich and the famous. Oprah is one. She has property over there in Maui, and her house, the roof, anything that was painted with the roofs blue were not targeted. Any cars, anything, the umbrellas that you put outside in your yard, anything that was blue was not hit. And those lasers, I believe, were intentional to take a lot of those people out so that the rich and the famous can take that property over. I mean, that's my theory. Go ahead, Shiloh.
There's something with that, and also I saw these experiments with blue lasers, and then my experience with, I guess I've been open about it now because I'm not homeless, but, at the beginning of the year I was homeless for a while and was in a homeless shelter, and there was a blue laser light that shone in my window and another person's window that appeared to come from a cell tower, which was a half a block away, and it only shone at night, and there's just something to these blue lasers. It's connected, I guarantee it. But the thing is I'm not a scientist, so I need somebody to walk me through this that's an expert on what the blue frequency is. Somebody told me it's a frequency. The blue is a frequency. And so these are tied together, and we need a group with these experts that Deborah was talking about, to where we can, get our evidence, sort of have an expert put its stamp on it, that's correct evidence that will stand up in a court of law.
Right.
We should see all these damn drones flying out.
And then there's another name, Dr. Michael Hoffer, of course. We know who he is. He, of course, is the doctor who diagnosed the embassy workers with Havana syndrome. So whether he is someone that fits into that category that we're looking for, maybe we write down a lot of names and then narrow it down from there. But he would probably be somebody we you might want to start with. But Dr. Lindbergh, he talks to so many people. He probably would be a good resource in terms of figuring out who some of these key experts would be that could help us.
I don't know if anybody saw the interview that Anna had today with a former FBI agent. He knows a lot of how this works. That would be he has his own show. He would probably be a really good one to get involved. And I guess he's been a victim too. He's been a TI.
Which show? Anna Toledo?
Yeah, Anna Toledo was on a show and had an interview today. I don't remember, I'm sorry, the gentleman, but I hear he had a good FBI background, and also he's been a targeted individual. He understands how things work and how they've gone about doing these things. So he'd be really good.
It was Jeffrey Prather, Kim.
Thank you.
Jeffrey Prather show.
Jeffrey Prather?
Yeah.
Okay.
Prather.
Because without these experts, it's I'm someone who's being targeted, but I'm just an individual who's saying I'm being targeted. So the experts, of course, can give the background information and validate that this is actually happening. So the experts are very, very key here.
And there is a woman who won in California based on satellite dishes that were directed towards her home. Like, she proved her to be an expert. And I've been trying to connect the dots on that person. Does anybody know who that expert was?
I don't know. No. Stephen Friend is another gentleman with the FBI that's been a whistleblower that understands how things work.
Once you get the experts together, there's another good journalist that I would recommend, and he has a program called Facts Matter, because he doesn't, and he tries not to be prejudiced, in different ways. His name is Roman Balmakov, Balmakov or F or something, but he comes with the Epoch Times, and he's on. I see him on YouTube. Facts Matter.
That's good. A reporter called O'Keefe too. I don't know his first name, but he is a TI also.
To answer your question, Shiloh, of course we know about James Walbert and Jim Guest, but I think you're referring to Kathleen Watterson.
Yes.
Kathleen's expert witness, I believe his name was Levi McCann, McCann. I believe her case was the first win, and that was in 2014. Don't hold me to that, but I think there was a restraining order saying that her life was in danger. But I think it might be Levi McCann, Kathleen Watterson, Watterson, and Kathleen's expert witness was Levi, Levi, McCann, Mccann.
Okay.
But are you familiar with James Walbert and Jim Guest?
I know those names, and so, but I don't know if you can tell me what James Guest is his name. James Guest.
Yeah. So Jim Guest was one of our. Was he a senator or a congressman? And he of course, he's retired now, and he actually supported James Walbert in his claim of being harmed by microwaves. So this goes back quite a bit. And, all these cases are a little bit different, especially going back a little further. But yes, Jim Guest, who was Was he a senator or a congressman?